First contact, the Galactic Academy arrives. The crisp autumn air carried a hint of excitement across the sprawling campus of Evergreen University. Students hurry between classes, their chatter creating a lively backdrop to the usual academic bustle. But today was different. An undercurrent of anticipation rippled through the crowd, punctuated by furtive glances at the sky. Dr. Samantha Chen, head of the newly established Department of Xenobiology, stood on the roof of the science building, her eyes fixed on the horizon. Her heart raced with a mixture of professional curiosity and personal wonder. After years of preparation, countless meetings, and mountains of paperwork, it was finally happening. Earth was about to host its first interstellar exchange program. As if on cue, a low hum filled the air. It started as a barely perceptible vibration, but quickly grew into a resonant thrumming that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Students stopped in their tracks, heads tilted skyward. The source of the sound soon became apparent as a massive ship, unlike anything ever seen on Earth, shimmered into view. The vessel defied conventional design. It was neither sleek nor clunky, but rather an organic-looking structure that seemed to flow and shift even as it descended. Iridescent patterns played across its surface, reminiscent of soap bubbles in sunlight. As it approached, the ship's true scale became apparent. It was easily the size of the entire campus. Samantha's comm-link chirped. "Dr. Chen," came the voice of University President Douglas Reeves. "Are we ready?" She took a deep breath. "As ready as we'll ever be, sir." The ship came to rest in the vast open field that had been cleared for this very purpose. For a moment, all was still. Then, with a soft whir, an opening appeared in the side of the vessel. It wasn't a door in any traditional sense, but rather a section of the ship that simply ceased to exist, leaving a perfectly round portal. From this opening emerged the first representatives of the Galactic Academy. Leading the procession was a being that, despite all of Samantha's training and preparation, still took her breath away. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, with a body that seemed to be composed of overlapping plates of some opalescent material. 4 limbs arranged in a radial pattern around its trunk terminated in what looked like delicate, multi-jointed appendages. Atop its body, a cluster of sensory organs swiveled independently, taking in the surroundings. Behind this impressive figure came a diverse array of beings. Some were vaguely humanoid, others defied easy categorization. There were entities that floated, others that oozed, and some that seemed to flicker in and out of visibility. As the alien delegation made its way towards the welcoming committee, Samantha hurried down to join her colleagues. She arrived just as President Reeves stepped forward, arms outstretched in what they hoped was a universally welcoming gesture. "On behalf of Evergreen University and the people of Earth, I bid you welcome," Reeves announced, his voice amplified for the benefit of the gathered crowd. The lead alien's sensory cluster focused on Reeves. Then, to everyone's surprise, it spoke, not in any recognizable language, but in perfectly accented English. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Zix Thal, Overseer of Interspecies Education at the Galactic Academy. We are honored to participate in this historic exchange." A murmur ran through the crowd. The alien's mastery of English was unexpected, to say the least. Zix Thal's body shimmered, and Samantha realized it was the alien equivalent of amusement. "You seem surprised by our linguistic abilities. Rest assured, we have studied your world extensively. It is our hope that this exchange will be equally illuminating for your species." As the formal greetings continued, Samantha found her attention drawn to a figure partially obscured behind Zix Thal. It was smaller than the others, barely taller than an average human. Its form was hard to discern, seeming to shift and change even as she looked at it. But what caught her attention were its eyes, or what she assumed were eyes. 2 luminous orbs that seemed to capture and reflect the light in mesmerizing patterns. Those eyes met hers, and Samantha felt a jolt of something: recognition, curiosity. Whatever it was, she knew instinctively that this being would play a significant role in the events to come. As the day progressed, the campus transformed into a whirlwind of activity. Alien students were assigned to their quarters, human volunteers scrambled to assist with the myriad of logistical challenges, and impromptu gatherings sprang up everywhere as humans and aliens cautiously began to interact. Samantha found herself in the thick of it all, fielding questions from both sides. She was in her element, bridging the gap between species, explaining, clarifying, and occasionally marveling at the sheer wonder of it all. As evening fell, she finally had a moment to catch her breath. She stood at the edge of the field, watching as the alien ship, now serving as both dormitory and classroom for the visitors, glowed softly in the twilight. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" a voice said beside her. Samantha turned to find Jack Harrison, one of her most promising graduate students, standing nearby. His eyes were fixed on the ship, a look of wonder on his face. "It certainly is," she agreed. "How are you holding up, Jack? I know you've been working overtime to help with the preparations." He grinned, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "Honestly, Dr. Chen, I'm exhausted, but I wouldn't miss this for the world. Did you see the being with the fractal patterns? Or the one that communicates through color changes? It's like every sci-fi book I've ever read has come to life." Samantha chuckled. Jack's enthusiasm was infectious, reminding her of her own excitement when she first entered the field of xenobiology. "Just remember," she cautioned, "they're not here as exhibits in a zoo. They're students and teachers, just like us. We have as much to learn from them as they do from us." Jack nodded soberly. "Of course, it's just hard to wrap my head around. This morning, we were alone in the universe, and now," he gestured towards the ship. "And now we're part of something much bigger," Samantha finished for him. "It's a big responsibility, Jack. We're not just representing Evergreen University, or even just Earth. We're representing humanity as a whole." As if to emphasize her point, a group of alien students floated by, literally floated, their bodies suspended in personal anti-gravity fields. They were engaged in animated discussion with a cluster of human students, gesticulating with appendages that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "Dr. Chen," Jack said, his voice suddenly serious, "do you think we're ready for this? I mean, look at our history. We can barely get along with each other, let alone an entirely new set of species." Samantha considered the question carefully. It was one she'd asked herself many times during the long months of preparation. "I think," she said slowly, "that we have to be ready. This isn't just an opportunity, Jack. It's a test. The Galactic Academy chose Earth for a reason. They see potential in us. It's up to us to prove them right." Jack nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I guess we'll find out soon enough." As they stood there, watching the mingling of humans and aliens against the backdrop of the softly glowing ship, Samantha felt a mix of emotions wash over her: excitement, apprehension, wonder, and a deep sense of responsibility. Whatever happened in the coming days and weeks would shape the future of human-alien relations for generations to come. Little did she know, the true test of humanity's readiness was yet to come. As the stars twinkled into view above them, unseen forces were already in motion, setting the stage for a challenge that would push both humans and aliens to their limits. The adventure was just beginning. Cultural clashes, misunderstandings, and revelations. The first week of the Interstellar Exchange Program passed in a blur of activity. Evergreen University's campus had become a vibrant melting pot of human and alien cultures, with each day bringing new discoveries and challenges. Dr. Samantha Chen found herself at the center of it all, mediating conflicts, facilitating communication, and often marveling at the sheer scope of what they were undertaking. On a crisp Monday morning, Samantha stood before a packed lecture hall. The audience was a mix of human and alien students, their diverse forms creating a striking visual tapestry. At the front of the room, a holographic display flickered to life, showing a complex molecular structure. "Today," Samantha began, her voice carrying clearly through the room, "we'll be discussing the fundamental differences between carbon-based and silicon-based life forms. As you can see, she was interrupted by a sudden commotion at the back of the hall. A Xoxian student, a being composed of shimmering energy fields, was emitting rapid pulses of light, causing nearby students to shield their eyes. Samantha quickly realized what was happening. "Everyone remain calm," she called out. "Zora is simply asking a question." In Xoxian culture, the intensity of the light indicates the importance of the query. She turned to address the alien student directly. "Zora, while we appreciate your enthusiasm, could you perhaps modulate your emissions? Some of your classmates find it uncomfortable." The Xoxian's light dimmed noticeably, and a translated voice came through the room's speakers. "Apologies, Dr. Chen. I forgot myself in my excitement. I merely wish to inquire about the role of quantum entanglement in silicon-based neural networks." Samantha smiled. "An excellent question, Zora. Let's explore that together, shall we?" As the lecture continued, Samantha couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Despite the occasional hiccup, humans and aliens were learning to coexist, to share knowledge and ideas. It was everything she had hoped for when she first agreed to oversee this program. However, not everyone shared her optimism. Later that day, Samantha found herself in President Reed's office, facing a rather different audience. Representatives from various human governments sat around the table, their expressions ranging from concern to outright hostility. Dr. Chen began, a stern-faced woman Samantha recognized as the U.S. Secretary of Defense. "While we appreciate the scientific value of this exchange, we have serious concerns about the security implications. These aliens have access to technology far beyond our own. How can we be sure they're not here to gather intelligence?" Samantha took a deep breath, reminding herself to remain patient. "Madam Secretary, the Galactic Academy has been nothing but transparent in their dealings with us. They've freely shared technological insights that could revolutionize everything from medicine to space travel. If their intent was hostile, why would they do that?" "Perhaps to lull us into a false sense of security," interjected another official. "For all we know, this could be the prelude to an invasion." President Rees, who had been listening silently, finally spoke up. "Gentlemen, ladies, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Dr. Chen has worked closely with our visitors for months now. I think we owe it to her to hear her out." Samantha nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Mr. President. I understand your concerns, truly I do. But I've seen firsthand the genuine curiosity and goodwill of our alien guests. They're here to learn, just as we are. Yes, there have been misunderstandings and cultural clashes, but isn't that to be expected? We're dealing with civilizations that evolved on entirely different worlds." She paused, looking each official in the eye. "What we have here is an unprecedented opportunity. A chance to join a galactic community, to expand our understanding of the universe and our place in it. Are we really going to let fear and suspicion squander that?" The room fell silent as her words sank in. Even the most skeptical officials seemed to be considering her perspective. Finally, the Secretary of Defense spoke again, her tone noticeably softer. "You make a compelling argument, Dr. Chen, but surely you understand our need for caution. Perhaps we could arrange for more oversight. A joint human-alien committee to monitor the exchange program." Samantha nodded, sensing a breakthrough. "I think that's an excellent idea, Madam Secretary. In fact, I believe such cooperation could further strengthen our relationships with the Galactic Academy." As the meeting continued, hammering out the details of this new arrangement, Samantha felt a weight lift from her shoulders. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was a start. A step towards greater understanding and cooperation. Meanwhile, across campus, Jack Harrison was facing a cultural clash of his own. He stood in one of the newly constructed alien dormitories, staring in bewilderment at the scene before him. The room, if it could be called that, seemed to defy the laws of physics. Spaces folded in on themselves, gravity shifted unpredictably, and objects phased in and out of existence. In the center of this chaos stood Exile, the small, shifty alien that had caught Dr. Chen's attention on the first day. Exile's form was even more unstable up close, constantly rippling and changing. Exile, Jack ventured, trying to keep his footing as the floor beneath him suddenly tilted. I'm here to help with your Earth Studies project, but I'm not sure where to begin. Dial's luminous eyes fixed on Jack, and a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once replied, Jack Harrison, your offer of assistance is appreciated. Please, make yourself comfortable. Jack looked around helplessly. That might be a bit difficult. Is there any way we could, I don't know, stabilize things a bit? The exile's form shimmered in what Jack had learned was their version of laughter. My apologies. I sometimes forget how limited your perceptions are. Allow me to adjust. Suddenly, the room snapped into focus. The impossible geometry smoothed out, the gravity normalized, and Exile's form settled into something vaguely humanoid. Is this better? Exile asked, genuine concern in their voice. Jack nodded, relief washing over him. Much better, thank you. So, about your project. As they began to work, Jack found himself fascinated by Exile's perspective on human culture. The aliens' questions were often unexpected, forcing Jack to think about his own society in ways he never had before. Your species puts great emphasis on physical appearance, Exile observed at one point. Yet you also claim to value inner qualities. Isn't this contradictory? Jack chuckled. Yeah, I guess it is when you put it like that. Humans are full of contradictions. It's part of what makes us, well, human. Kyle's eyes swirled with interest. Fascinating. In my culture, form is merely a convenience. We change our appearance as easily as you change your clothes. The idea of judging someone based on their physical form is alien to us. As their discussion continued, touching on topics ranging from human art to politics to relationships, Jack found himself gaining new insights into his own species. Seeing humanity through Exile's eyes was both enlightening and sometimes uncomfortable, forcing him to confront aspects of human nature he'd never questioned before. Hours passed, and as their work session came to an end, Jack realized something important. Despite their vast differences, biological, cultural, and perceptual, he and Exile had connected. They had found common ground in their shared curiosity, their desire to understand each other. Exile, Jack said as he prepared to leave, thank you. This has been eye-opening. Exile's form shimmered again, this time in a way that conveyed warmth. The gratitude is mutual, Jack Harrison. You have given me much to ponder about your species. Perhaps we are not so different after all. As Jack made his way back across campus, his mind was abuzz with new ideas and perspectives. He couldn't wait to share his experiences with Dr. Chen and his fellow students. This, he realized, was what the exchange program was all about: breaking down barriers, challenging assumptions, and forging connections across the vastness of space and difference. But even as Jack reveled in this newfound understanding, events were unfolding that would soon test the fragile bonds between humans and aliens. In the depths of space, a signal was racing towards Earth, a signal that would shatter the peace of Evergreen University and force both humans and aliens to confront a threat beyond anything they had imagined. The true test of their fledgling alliance was about to begin. Crisis on campus, an unexpected threat. The day began like any other at Evergreen University, with humans and aliens alike bustling between classes. Dr. Samantha Chen was in her office, reviewing data from recent xenobiology experiments, when a thunderous boom shook the building. Rushing to the window, she saw a pillar of smoke rising from the alien ship. Panic gripped her as she sprinted towards the commotion. At the scene, chaos reigned. Alien students were evacuating in droves, some injured, others helping their peers. Human first responders looked overwhelmed, unsure how to treat the various alien physiologies. Dr. Chen, Jack called out, his face smudged with soot. It was some kind of energy surge. The ship's systems went haywire. Samantha's mind raced. This was beyond anything they had prepared for. Jack, help coordinate triage. I need to find Zix Tal. She found the overseer near the ship's entrance, its opalescent plates dulled with stress. Sixth Thal, what happened? The alien's sensory cluster swiveled towards her. Dr. Chen, we've received a distress signal. Our home systems are under attack by an ancient enemy. The surge was a side effect of the transmission. Samantha's blood ran cold. An attack? By whom? The Void Eaters, Zixthal replied, a tremor in its usually steady voice. A species that consumes entire planets. We thought them long extinct, but they've returned. And now I fear we've led them straight to Earth. As the gravity of the situation sank in, Samantha realized that the exchange program had become something far more crucial. It was no longer just about cultural understanding, it was about survival. We need to inform the authorities, Samantha said, her mind already formulating plans. And we need to prepare. If these Void Eaters are coming, Earth needs to be ready. Zixthal's body shimmered in agreement. Indeed, Dr. Chen. The fate of both our peoples may now rest in how well we can work together. As emergency services arrived and the immediate crisis was brought under control, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The real challenge lay ahead, and it would take everything humans and aliens had learned from each other to face it. The interstellar exchange had suddenly become a crash course in galactic warfare, with Earth's survival hanging in the balance. Unlikely allies, humans and aliens unite. The days following the energy surge were a whirlwind of activity. Evergreen University, once a peaceful campus, had transformed into a makeshift command center. Dr. Samantha Chen found herself at the heart of it all, bridging the gap between human authorities and the alien visitors. In the main auditorium, now repurposed as a war room, Samantha stood before a diverse group of human military leaders, government officials, and alien representatives. The tension in the air was palpable. Ladies and gentlemen and honored guests, she began, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. We face an unprecedented threat. The Void Eaters, as our alien allies call them, are unlike anything humanity has ever encountered. But we're not facing this alone. She gestured to Zixthal, who stepped forward. The alien's usually shimmering form seemed subdued, reflecting the gravity of the situation. The Void Eaters are ancient and relentless, Zixthal explained, its voice resonating through the room. They consume entire planets, strip them of resources, and move on. We believe them extinct, but it seems they were merely dormant. Now, they threaten not just our worlds, but yours as well. A murmur of unease rippled through the human contingent. General Marcus Harding, a grizzled veteran who had initially been skeptical of the alien presence, spoke up. With all due respect, how do we know this isn't some elaborate ruse? For all we know, you could be the real threat. Samantha tensed, but before she could respond, an unexpected voice chimed in. If I may, General, Jack Harrison said, stepping forward. All eyes turned to the young grad student. I've worked closely with our alien guests over the past weeks. I've seen their dedication to peace and understanding. If they wanted to harm us, they've had ample opportunity. Instead, they've shared knowledge that's already revolutionizing our technology. Jack's impassioned defense seemed to sway some of the skeptics. Samantha felt a surge of pride for her student. Zixthal's body shimmered in what Samantha had learned was gratitude. Thank you, Jack Harrison. Your words honor us. We came to Earth in peace, seeking to expand our collective knowledge. Now, we find ourselves bringing war to your doorstep. For that, we can only offer our deepest apologies and our full cooperation in the fight ahead. General Harding's expression softened slightly. All right, let's say we believe you. What can we do against an enemy capable of consuming planets? This was the moment Samantha had been preparing for. She activated a holographic display in the center of the room, showing a complex schematic. This is where human ingenuity comes in. Working with our alien allies, we've developed a plan. We call it Project Firewall. The hologram shifted, displaying a network of satellites orbiting Earth. By combining our most advanced human technology with alien insights, we can create a planetary defense system. These satellites will be capable of detecting Void Eater ships and generating an energy field to repel them. The room erupted in a mix of excited chatter and skeptical questions. Samantha fielded them one by one, her confidence growing. This was what she had trained for, not just to study alien life, but to bring different species together for a common cause. As the meeting progressed, a sense of cautious optimism began to take hold. Humans and aliens alike were contributing ideas, refining the plan, finding ways to work together despite their differences. Later, as Samantha left the auditorium, she found Jack waiting for her. "That was incredible, Dr. Chen," he said, his eyes shining with excitement. "Do you really think it will work?" Samantha smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "It has to, Jack. We've got the best minds from multiple worlds working on this, but we're racing against time." Jack nodded solemnly. "I want to help, whatever I can do." "I'm counting on it," Samantha replied. "We're going to need everyone for this." Over the next few weeks, Evergreen University became the epicenter of a global, no, interstellar, effort. The campus buzzed with activity around the clock as humans and aliens worked side by side. In the physics lab, human scientists collaborated with ethereal exoxygens to refine the energy field technology. In the computer science department, human coders worked alongside crystalline selections to develop the AI that would control the satellite network. Even the shape-shifting exile had found a crucial role, their ability to manipulate matter at a quantum level proving invaluable in constructing the satellite prototypes. Samantha found herself constantly amazed by the spirit of cooperation that had emerged from the crisis. Old prejudices and fears were being set aside in the face of a common threat. She saw it in the way human students now casually conversed with their alien counterparts, in the genuine friendships forming across species lines. One evening, as she was leaving her office after another marathon strategy session, she encountered Zix Stahl in the hallway. "Dr. Chen," the alien greeted her, its opalescent plates gleaming softly in the dim light. "I must express my admiration for your species. In the face of this threat, humans have shown remarkable adaptability and resolve." Samantha smiled tiredly. "We can be pretty stubborn when we need to be. But we couldn't do this without you and your people, Zix Tal. This collaboration, it's more than I ever dreamed possible when we started the exchange program." Sensory cluster rotated in a gesture Samantha had come to recognize as deep thought. Perhaps this was always the true purpose of our meeting. Not just to exchange knowledge, but to forge an alliance that could stand against the darkness. As they stood there, an alien and a human united in purpose, Samantha felt a glimmer of hope. Whatever the Void Eaters might bring, Earth would not face it alone. And perhaps, just perhaps, this unlikely alliance would be enough to save not just one world, but many. But even as Project Firewall progressed, the first tendrils of the Void Eaters' advance were approaching the outer reaches of the solar system. The final test of humanity's ingenuity and the strength of their newfound alliance was fast approaching. The battle for Earth, and for the future of interstellar cooperation, was about a new era. The control room of Project Firewall hummed with tense energy. Screens flickered with data streams, showing the approaching Void Eater fleet, a dark mass at the edge of the solar system, growing larger by the minute. Dr. Samantha Chen stood at the center, surrounded by a mix of human and alien operators. Her eyes darted between the main view screen and the status displays of the planetary defense grid. "Energy readings are stable," reported a human technician. "Quantum entanglement network is online," added an. Its crystalline form glittering under the harsh lights. Samantha nodded, her heart racing. Months of preparation had led to this moment. "Initiate final countdown," she ordered. As the countdown began, she felt a presence beside her. It was Jack, looking both terrified and determined. "Dr. Chen," he said softly, "whatever happens, it's been an honor." Samantha managed a small smile. "The honor's been mine, Jack. You've shown the best of what humanity has to offer. Suddenly, alarms blared. The Void Eater ships had entered the outer defense perimeter. "This is it," Samantha announced, her voice carrying across the room. "Activate the firewall." With a command from Zixthal, the satellite network sprang to life. A shimmering energy field began to coalesce around the Earth, powered by a combination of human innovation and alien technology. The Void Eater ships struck the barrier with tremendous force. The entire room shook, and for a heart-stopping moment, it seemed the shield might fail. But it held. Wave after wave of attacks battered the firewall, each one testing the limits of the unlikely alliance that had created it. Human determination met alien ingenuity, adjusting and reinforcing the defenses in real time. Hours passed in a blur of tense moments and small victories, and then, almost anticlimactically, it was over. The Void Eater fleet, unable to breach the planetary defenses, began to retreat. A stunned silence fell over the control room, quickly giving way to cheers and celebrations. Humans embraced aliens, differences forgotten in the joy of shared triumph. Samantha felt tears in her eyes as she watched the scene. This was more than just a victory over an enemy. It was proof of what could be achieved when different species came together, combining their strengths and overcoming their prejudices. As the celebrations continued, she made her way to a window, looking out at the dawn breaking over the horizon. The sky seemed somehow brighter, full of promise. Zixthal joined her, its opalescent form reflecting the sunrise. "Dr. Chen," it said, "your world has proven itself today. The Galactic Academy would be honored to formally invite Earth to join our interstellar community." Samantha turned to the alien, a smile spreading across her face. "And I think I can say with confidence that Earth would be honored to accept." As they stood there, a human and an alien watching the sunrise of a new era, Samantha realized that this was just the beginning. The universe was vast and full of wonders and challenges, but together, united in their diversity, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. The Interstellar Exchange Program had started as a simple idea for cultural understanding. It had become the foundation for humanity's place among the stars.